Hello, hello. Happy Sabbath, everybody. So we're going to tell a children's story, and I was wondering if you guys know what that is. The moon. Okay. So we're going to talk about the moon for a little bit. So here in my hand is a map of the moon. It was published in 1969, and so I'm going to open it for you guys. And how many know what's going to happen in the next week or so? Anybody know what's happening as far as what's happening? They're going to launch another rocket, and they are going to try to explore the moon. So this is the first time they went into the moon. And so it's a whole map, so like an old map of the moon, and has the different missions there. Apollo 8 is one of the missions where they came, and when they came over the moon, the Earth horizon, so you can imagine they're circling the moon, and they're coming over the moon, and they see the Earth rising. Wouldn't that be cool to see? Yeah, and guess what they said when they saw the Earth? And they said, they recited the Bible. It said, they said, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth." So it's interesting that, we're going for a second. The first one was called Apollo, and the second one is called Artemis. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about, it's a different mission story, but then I'll tie it in again. So if you see this, there's a lot of boosters, a lot of rockets. And how many of you know where the astronauts are going to sit? On the moon? They're not going to go on the moon. So if you see the steeple there, the top over there, and then the second one, the one with the little NASA thing on there, that's their little room that they sit in. So if you look at the different components, it's sideways so you could see it bigger. So see that one called Orion? That's where they're going to sit. So in the next week, February 6th or something, they're going to blast off in all these rockets, the solid rocket booster, the nitrogen booster, and they are going to be circling around the Earth. Isn't that exciting? It's exciting. How many of you want to live in space? Any of the adults want to live in space? Nobody. Well, that's good. That's good because there's no oxygen out there. And it's very uncomfortable. So these astronauts, here they are in training. And see that space? It's a little blurry. Sorry about that. So imagine living in two minivans for 10 days with 3 of your best friends. It's going to be, it might be a little difficult because, there's no gravity up there. So if you think about eating, things float when you eat. If you think about, doing your daily things that you have to go, yeah, it's not so easy if there's no gravity. So they have special systems. They have like bikes there so they can keep their strength because, gravity provides strength if you don't know that. If you don't have gravity, you're not going to be able to exercise your muscles. So they have exercise machines over there. So it's a very small space, and guess how long they have to train to go on this mission? How many want to guess? There's years, but then for this specific mission to the moon, it's 2 years. It's 2 years, and then they have to go through, getting in and out of the capsule and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's fascinating, right? This is man's way of trying to get to the Earth. They want to inhabit the solar system. They want to go to the moon and inhabit it. But then it requires all these systems and oxygen, and there's no gravity. So, might not be such an ideal place to go. Let me go to the next picture. So this is Artemis 2 path, okay? And so as you can see, they're going to be launching in Florida. So on this side, you can see number 1 up there. They're going to be launching in Florida, and it's going to circle. How many times do you think it's going to circle the Earth? It says 1 time, and then it's going to slingshot out to the moon. Okay? And as you see, the big rocket is there on the first thing, and as you move across, then it lets it go, and then has a little rocket there. And then, so during this preparation between 6, 7, about in 6 and 7, they're doing preparations, you know. They have to make sure they had chose the specific time so that when it launches, the vehicle will go around the Earth once, and while it's going around the Earth or in that orange spot, they'll be testing the communications. They'll be testing if they can talk to Earth back. They'll be testing different things, the communications, and so they have to make sure that all the life systems are on board. So while they're doing that, they're doing these things for preparation. How many of you like to prepare? We have to prepare because, 2 years of preparation to go around the moon and to spend 10 days, we have to prepare. And so, as you see, it's going around the moon, and then when it gets about to 9, then they'll slingshot past the moon, and then they'll take pictures and stuff like that. And one important thing is, the timing is important because, they have solar panels on that spaceship. So if that spaceship goes onto the dark side of the moon and doesn't have power, it can't be more than for 90 minutes. Otherwise, everything will shut down. So that's why the timing is important. When they launch, how they launch, the preparation. And so it's pretty cool that they're able to do these things, and a lot of technology involved. So they're going to do this pretty soon. And I'm going to teach you some little bit of space talk, I guess. So number 1 is the Earth. And 2 is called the apogee, okay? And that's the orbit farthest from the planet, okay? And the 3 is called perigee, which is it's like the closest, okay? So what happens when the Artemis is going around the Earth, when it's like at that perigee spot, it's going to throw its thrusters to create a bigger arc around Earth to prepare it to slingshot around the moon. Okay, so they have all thought of this before. So that's what they're going to do. One important thing is this is communication. So you'll see there's all this technology. There's a LiDAR sensor. There's a star tracker. There's all these things for communication. There's power. And this is so that they, if they get in trouble, they'll be able to talk to Earth, back to the base. There's 2 bases that they talk to, and so this is cool, and they want to go to Mars and stuff like that. But I think a better thing to think about is, going to heaven, because it doesn't require oxygen. Once God gives us our new bodies, we're not going to have a spacesuit or capsule or anything, And one thing for us to prepare, though, is we have to read our Bible. We have to read our Bible to prepare. And we have to pray. We have to pray. And so, as you see in this picture, there's incense. And prayer is the incense is going to God. You can see this is part of the sanctuary. And so we have to pray. And then, like the satellite going around the Earth, we have to tell the gospel, the good news. We have to go around, and then before we get to heaven, we have to go around and tell the gospel to everyone. And so this is important for each of us to do. And it takes preparation. We have to read our Bible. We have to be able to communicate with God. We have to pray and say, okay, God, I know what you want to do. And then we look to the Bible, and there are promises. And we lean on those promises. And I think that's the last picture. But it's interesting, man wants to get to space, because the Earth is getting crowded. But we have a better plan through God. We have a better plan that through His love and mercy, we're going to be able to leave this earth, but without all that extra stuff. You won't need it. And so I would like you guys to pay attention to the sermon today. They're going to talk about love. How do we love the whole world? How do we love our neighbors? And what is it for us? Who are we? Do we have any value? So some of these questions, Eliana and Sabrina will answer for you. So God bless you, and you may go back to your seats.